Welcome to Balanced Reflections. I'm Lightning Rider. Here we explore mindset mastery, travel transformations, and the art of alchemy. Join me on a wild ride around the world and into the mind, because when you change your mind, you change your world. Life in Canada is good.
Well, hey there, bird. This film comes to you from Vancouver, Canada. I've heard a lot about this city as Jess has spent a good chunk of her 20s living here, and there'll be more films to come, but on this particular day, we had woke, not that kind of woke, early to catch a train and reconnect with a friend who'd met just over a year earlier at an Ayahuasca retreat in Ecuador. Brandon was volunteering his time there, and something about his energy, smile, and charismatic character drew me to him. We shared many conversations at the retreat, and I was very much looking forward to catching up with him and exploring some beautiful nature that held special meaning and connection to him.
Costa Rica.
Brandon!
What's up?
This is documentation station. Where are we going? What are we doing?
Squamish Chief. We're going up there.
All right. But
He was taking us about an hour north of Vancouver, where the highway winds past ocean inlets and thick forests until the chief comes into view, like an ancient sentinel, a sheer wall of granite carved by fire and ice.
No way. What's up?
For climbers, it's one of the largest monoliths in the world and a proving ground. For the Squamish Nation, it's a sacred landmark carrying stories of transformation and endurance. And for the philosophical traveller on the road to Whistler, it's an undeniable reminder that the land holds the true power and will remain long after the tourists and resorts fade from existence. I reached out to Brandon as I began creating the vision for this film with a few questions. With 2 years of coaching and counselling studies at Rhodes Wellness College, 3 years of psychology at Douglas College, a certification in art therapy, and an introduction to IFS psychotherapy under his belt, Brandon brings both academic grounding and emphatic heart-led awareness to the table. His deep respect for land, spirit, and truth, along with his authentic nature, make his reflections and opinions something I highly value. Here are the questions I posed to Brandon and his insightful responses. What does authentic connection mean to you, and how do you recognize it in a world where so many wear masks?
To me, authentic connection means just being able to show up as you and not have to wear a mask to feel safer or more superior to another person. And I'd say it requires you to really meet yourself with that same level of authenticity. And in a society where we wear all these masks, it can be very difficult, right? We feel like we have to put on a different mask for a different situation, or maybe meet somebody in the way that we might think that they want to be met. Whereas in all honesty, authentic connection can look very messy. It's real, it's raw, it's less refined, it's less polished. And I think in these modern cultures, especially like a downtown core of Vancouver, it's kind of like we want to kind of convince people that we are polished, that we are refined, that we're not messy. But the reality of it is that we are messy.
What's the hardest thing for you personally about staying true to your path in a city that often feels disconnected?
I think beneath the surface, people are starved for connection, or they really crave deeper connection, and oftentimes have to settle for something more surface level. And they're able to meet people and talk with people, but aren't really able to experience real intimacy. And when it happens, it's so rare and it's so brief.
If the forests could speak, what do you think they'll be saying to us right now?
I think the forest would be telling us to listen to our elders more carefully. And that doesn't just refer to the elders in our communities, but also just like the trees, and to listen to the mountains, and to listen to the rivers, and to listen to the ancient energies.
What's one lesson the Indigenous or plant medicines have taught you that you think our society most urgently needs to hear?
You know, this might be personal to me, but I think one of the things that I've learned from many plant medicines would be just the importance of like really fully taking the time to listen to your body and feel connected to it, and that it's okay to feel vulnerable. It's okay to feel sensitive. And these are our strengths as, you know, as humanity. And that if there's a desire to mask that or to repress that, just to get curious about why.
Do you think healing requires us to return to ancient practices, or is there a way to blend them with the modern world?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because I mean, I'm disconnected from what might say my traditional roots. I don't have any cultural practices from my lineage, but I would say many of the ancient practices practiced by Indigenous people and Indigenous communities, these ought to be studied and understood and appreciated. That's the other thing. It's like not just taking these teachings and integrating them into our Western lens. It's appreciating the ancient teachings. And one of which I would say is patience. Really, like being humble, practicing humility. Yeah, just knowing that it takes time for a vision to come. So as a practice, just to become more comfortable sitting in longer periods of stillness.
Brandon is a very interesting dude, and we share a lot of the same passions and interests, which is part of the reason why we get along so well.
My interests are very varied. I mean, I do a lot of, artistic things. I paint, I sing, I love to dance at times. I play djembe, I play flute. I like to create guided meditations. I like to podcast. I like to write poetry or sometimes little articles. I have my toe in all the different waters. I just love to be out in nature. I love to do nature photography, and I love to connect with people. So, that's kind of my main passion, is connecting with people, reading, learning, and doing creative things. That's my kind of philosophy.
He also believes, as I do, that life is our greatest teacher. Our struggles can be turned into the primary drivers and catalysts for change. That should not be understated, but also acknowledging that we have to take responsibility for ourselves.
My qualifications also include my life experiences. So, I've spent the last 10 years working on myself, like dramatically changing my life, healing from all these addictions, recognizing where some of my core wounds were and trying to work with those through somatic practices, through, conscious connected breath work, through IFS, through traveling to Iquitos and drinking Ayahuasca with a Shipibo, and just going through all these different life challenges that I feel are qualify me just as much as some of my academic credentials. Yeah, so what I do is I'm a coach, and I apply IFS as a framework to help people work with resistance, and I also help people strategize and goal set for their lives, whether it's personal or professional. I also work as a counselor, and that's primarily helping people start to bring awareness to trauma, maybe bring awareness to certain emotions. Maybe if they're working in addiction, it's kind of getting to the root of what's causing them to feel like they need to escape. Really introducing a blend of turning towards the emotions, but also turning towards the body. That's how I work with people in counseling. Yeah, if I were to give anyone at the start of their healing journey a little bit of advice, I suppose it'd be something like, don't rush the process, or don't assume the process is going to look a certain way. It's a long game, right? And at the same time, if you're rushing it, or if you're thinking and you need to be a certain place in like 3 or 4 years or even a year, you're probably going to change how you engage with the process of healing, or how you engage with your body, or how you try to maybe think there's a way to do it.
What gives you hope right now, Hermano?
What gives me hope is that people are willing to come together and create movements, like, whether it be protests or whether it be safe spaces where people can express their struggles, like a poetry slam, or in particular, just when people come together in community, and like what happens when people support their environment or support each other. And I feel very optimistic that humanity will continue to do these things.
Woo! The ice stick, my ice carrot. It's good, it's fresh. Glacier carrot water.
Fresh app.
Water.
Jess often spoke about Vancouver's beauty, but honestly, my bias and ignorance led me to believe she was over-exaggerating or romanticising, seeing the city through rose-tinted glasses or purple haze nostalgia. I couldn't be more happier that my assumptions went up in smoke. She also observed their sunsets reflected in their currency. In Australia, our notes are more earth tone, symbolising the ancient land, red dirt, and the indigenous spirit. Vancouver's sunsets were otherworldly. Its palette felt like an ethereal dream sequence, painted by Herma, blending soft pinks and purples with fiery oranges and red hues. Sticky, icky, ironic, chronic for the soul. But beauty is only one end of the pole of duality. Vancouver's homelessness, caught in a struggle of vice and dependency, can't be framed in postcards. That's the story for another film. For now, let the lighter light linger. The next chapter will take us beneath the pastel surface. Thanks for watching. I'm not subscribing to YouTube's algorithmic dictatorship, so your support is what helps my unique channel grow. Gently click the like, drop a comment like it's hot, alert the subscribe button, and remember, sharing is caring. If you'd like to help fuel the fire behind this work, There's a link below where you can buy me a figurative coffee. Caffeine is just another form of energy, and that energy flows directly into creating more content and more opportunities to explore the landscapes of life and make meaningful connections like with Brandon. If you'd like to get in touch or hear more of his story, I'll leave his social media information in the description. Faster alone, further together, and when we change our minds, we change our worlds. I'm Lightning Rider, and I'll catch you in the next one.